This is Christopher John Björkness. It is January 4th, 2024, and we're all still alive. So I'm going to take this opportunity to go over some of the great work that Richard Willett has been doing over at iconic.com in his investigations into Mr. Epstein's work for the Mossad to blackmail politicians and world leaders. And he's been interviewing Juliet Bryant. He has a new interview coming out this Wednesday that we should all very much be looking forward to watching. You can see that over at iconic.com. I'm going to get together with him before then, and we're going to do a little talk on what we have each uncovered in this whole thing. We're digging into the Kabbalistic aspects of all this, and Richard has some wonderful insights into that. And I'm going to go over what he's come up with, and I'm going to marry it to what I've been uncovering. I was preparing to do a follow-up video on my videos on flat Earth and the fact that Epstein Island with its temple is a scaled-down replica of the Talmudic depiction of the flat Earth. And those of you who have been following my work will remember those videos. You can find them at my website, cjbbooks.com. And at the bottom of that page, there are links to all of my video channels. Please try and subscribe to all of them. It's going to be a tumultuous year and things are going to change. So it'll be good if you want to see my videos to be subscribed to all my video channels. So let's start digging in to what Rich has come up with, because it's really fascinating stuff.
Why did you choose the title Epstein, the Dragon, the Apple, and the Butterfly? There's obviously the butterfly comes back here as well to the blue butterfly. You were talking about you've got MK Ultra kind of connotations to the butterfly with the monarch butterfly. So why did you choose that title? It's a lovely title.
So Rich looked into it, and he found that the blue butterfly is a symbol of the female aspect of Satan, Lilith, and that many of these women who were involved with Epstein and Maxwell had tattoos of blue butterflies, had all kinds of images with blue butterflies related to it. And Rich has pieced this together. And another one of the things that Rich has been looking into is the allegation that there are tunnels beneath his New Mexico ranch and beneath the temple on Epstein Island. And that just fits in perfectly with my theory that Epstein was trying to recreate the Talmudic model of the flat Earth, because part of that model is that beneath the temple is hell, Sheol, and if there are tunnels beneath it, there'll be 7 layers to those tunnels, or the tunnels will have 7 black stripes on them. If my theory is correct, there'll be something correlating them to the 7 levels of hell, in the same way that the temple itself has 7 blue stripes on it to represent the 7 levels of heaven and the 7 planets that we are supposed to ascend across, to cross over the great abyss and reunite with the divine, the Holy One, in an ecstatic reunion with God, where we will lose our egos and become part of God's light. This all relates to the idea of as above, so below. They want you to believe that that means that the earth is going to become like heaven. But what it really means is that the Kabbalists are going to try to turn the heavens into hell. And that's one of the reasons why they're blackening the skies with their geoengineering. And Musk wants to send people to the planet Mars. The planet Mars is the red planet representing Edom, representing the Sephirah Gevurah and Din, the power and severity of judgment and punishment, which will send us all to hell. And they are busily setting about to turn the earth into hell. And as above, so below. The below is the key element. And they want to subsume us all in a world of hell. So let's have a look at this tweet that Rich has put up. We discussed this. He let me in on what he was doing in some correspondence, and then he tweeted it out, which is wonderful because that gives me the opportunity to go over what he's uncovered. So you can see these women related with the blue butterfly, blue eyes. The color blue is extremely significant in Kabbalah, and I'm going to explain all that. And I'm also going to explain what the symbol of the blue butterfly represents. Rich has shown that it is symbolic of Lilith, and that she is supposed to shapeshift into a blue butterfly, and it relates to the power of seduction. That power of seduction is the idea that the material world seduces the human body's lusts to trap the soul in the material world so that it doesn't ascend up into heaven. And Rich goes over some of that Kabbalistic mythology. And he also discusses the idea that there are tunnels, supposed to be tunnels beneath the temple and beneath the ranch in New Mexico. So he's done some great work on that. That really fits exactly with what I have been uncovering in my own research related to that temple on Epstein Island and the color blue and why it has 7 blue stripes on it. The stripes are very much like the stripes on the Israeli flag, on the talit, on the prayer shawl, which has 4 corners. It's a 4-cornered building. And all of these are deeply, deeply meaningful in Kabbalah. And I'm going to show you the proof of all of that. So I prepared some slides that we can look at. And I'm going to be explaining these things as we go along. Some of you may know what labia majora and labia minora represent. So if you're over the age of 16, you probably understand that the butterfly has always been a symbol of certain sweetness of a female, out of which the child is born. And in this Kabbalistic understanding of the butterfly, in order for a bird to fly, it has to have 2 wings. With 1 wing, it can't fly. And these 2 wings represent the duality, the polarity of all existence between the womb and the light, the male and the female, good and evil, light and darkness, positive and negative, electric charge, etc. But we also have the 2 trees of the Garden of Eden. We have the Sephirotic tree of life with its 10 Sephirot, beginning with Keter, and then wisdom, Chokhmah, and understanding, Binah, this hidden Sephirah of Da'at, meaning knowledge. And Chokhmah is the male aspect of the Godhead. And that relates to this butterfly image, because the 10th Sephirah on the tree of life is Malkut. Malkut represents the earth, and it represents the female aspect of the Godhead, who is called Shekhinah. Now, to the highest level Kabbalists, Shekhinah is also Lilith. They are one and the same being. They are simply 2 perspectives, 2 aspects of looking at this same female aspect of the Godhead, which is also the same female aspect of Satan. And these meet at the level of Malkut, which is the earth. Beneath the earth, we have the Qliphotic vessels. And these contain the demons, including Samael and Lilith. And both of these meet at the surface of the earth, which is being replicated by Epstein's island. So as Rich quoted some literature which points out that this butterfly represents Malkut and Lilith meeting at this point, which is the earth, and then you have the Sephirotic tree above the earth and the Qliphothic tree beneath the earth. And these are the vessels of the Kelipot, the evil side, the left side, and these are the vessels of holiness. So the Israeli flag is properly understood to symbolize the two rivers of the Niles and Euphrates of Abraham's covenant with God, that greater Israel will replicate Ramses II Egyptian empire from the Nile to the Euphrates. And the Star of David is an emblem of as above, so below. The triangle pointed up is a phallic image representing as above. The triangle pointing downwards is the womb representing so below. But there's another aspect to these two stripes which represent water, and that is the waters above, the waters in the firmament above, and the waters below, the waters of the abyss. And both of these are the primordial waters of chaos, tohu, vavohu, hoshech, formlessness, emptiness, and darkness. So the Israeli flag is actually, and this is where it starts to get really wild, the Israeli flag is actually a magical Kabbalistic voodoo image meant to put the whammy on all the Gentile nations around Israel. And as crazy as that sounds, I'm going to show you the scholarly literature which says exactly that. And this is based upon the idea that blue is a very special color. In Kabbalah, all the light in the upper three sephirot of the Godhead is white, and that is the divine realm. That white light travels down through the prism of Deat, the 11th hidden sephirah, and then it is separated into the spectrum, the 7 colors of the rainbow, and filters down to Malkut, which is represented by the color of water, blue. Blue is a very special color because the white light is invisible until it strikes something, and then it illuminates that something with a color. So in Kabbalah, there is a difference between color and light, and the unity and combination of all colors is taken to be blue. So blue is the most powerful color. It represents the combination of all colors, and it represents their unity, symbolic of the unity of the Godhead before it is differentiated into darkness and light. But it has also always been a talismanic, magical color that is supposed to ward off the evil eye. So by flashing this flag with blue on it at the world, what they're doing is trying to ward off the evil of the Gentile nations, of the Goyim. That's a mouthful. So this blue dye was derived in the Middle Ages to color the prayer shawl, which is supposed to have blue threads in it, and often has those blue stripes on it, which appear on Epstein's temple, which again has 7 of those stripes to represent the 7 heavens and the 7 planets of the ascent to God. And there's probably some of the prayer shawls also have black stripes. And black is the color related to blue, and it represents the lower world of those tunnels that may be beneath Epstein's temple. Also, for decades, I've been hearing that there are tunnels beneath Al-Aqsa Mosque, beneath the Dome of the Rock, and beneath the Wailing Wall, and that people have wandered around in those tunnels. And there was famous figures in Kabbalistic history who were supposed to have spent time in those tunnels and wandered around. And again, that is all part of the Talmudic descriptions of the pillars of the earth and of the 7 levels of hell beneath the earth that are described in the Talmud. So let's start digging into that literature. I'll give you one more look at how this all pieces together. The 2 wings of the butterfly can represent as above, so below. They can represent the female organs. They can represent Malkut as the body and the Sephirotic tree of life above and the Qliphotic tree of life below. And all of this will reverse at the end of the cycle. And it also represents the Talmudic flat earth conception of the body of the butterfly being Malkut, Shekinah, Lilith, the earth, beneath her hell, above her the firmament of the heaven. And by making it as above, so below, what they cryptically mean is that they want to turn heaven into hell. They don't want it to go the other way. They pretend that they do, but they really don't. So I did a video describing this temple that Epstein built on his island. It has the dome, and it has Minerva, the screech owl of Isaiah, chapter 34. What is it, verse 14, something like that. We'll get to that. And you can watch that video. You can find a link to my YouTube channel here on CJB Books. Here's the title of it. This is the URL. I also did a video explaining the flat earth psyop and how it relates to the Talmudic conception of a flat earth and how they're trying to dupe everyone into believing in a flat earth. And in my Epstein video, I also went over how he was trying to seed the planet with his DNA because he conceived of himself as the Messiah, as the new Adam who would create all of his progeny as his children on the earth. So we have the dome above in the flat earth scheme. It represents the upper eyelid. All of this is symbolic of an eyeball, as I explained in the video. You have the ocean of the waters below surrounding his island. You have the screech owl of Isaiah 34:14. The palm trees form the speckled iris of Jerusalem, where all the jewels and gems in the world will be kept in the Messianic age. The temple inside contains the black cube of the Holy of Holies. The God of Israel lives in a cloud of darkness. And beneath, in all those tunnels, they anticipate putting all the gold in the world beneath the third temple of Solomon. So this is part of what I was covering in my video, the Flat Earth Psyop. There was some guy who did a very informative video on YouTube where he described this occult satanic view of the flat earth in which there's an earth below and an earth above. And the evil part, and in the minds of the Kabbalists, the best part is actually beneath. And in the end of time, all of this is supposed to reverse. It's supposed to be perpetual night, and darkness, who is the God of Israel, it will rule forever. Seth Typhon will take over the world. And he gave a good exposition on it, and he used a CD-ROM to show what the flat earth is like and how it's hollow in the center and how the light traverses down below beneath, but also there's a black sun beneath that sends its rays upwards. And so we have the North Star as the northern pole, and then we have the black sun beneath the earth, and we have the sun and the moon, which are supposed to revolve around the flat earth. And all of these points form the six-pointed star of the Star of David. Beneath is the Sitra Achra of the Qliphotic tree of life. Above is the right-hand side, the Sitra Mina, the holy side of the Sephirotic tree of life. But you can see that that is actually the roots, and the branches and leaves are the Qliphot. And in the end of time, this is supposed to reverse. You can see that things are upside down now but by performing Tikkun Olam, the Kabbalists hope to flip the world over so that Satan reigns, and that chaos is restored as the dominant force of the universe. So let's start looking at the color blue. As Rich discovered and pointed out, this blue butterfly represents Lilith. But blue is so much more significant than just that. And before it came to represent Lilith, it represented a robe that was wrapped around Shekinah. Because that blue, which is also supposed to be the color of the veil that was draped over the tabernacle and over the Ark of the Covenant to protect it, is meant to ward off the evil eye. And that mythology came about because blue represents, of course, the primordial waters of chaos. And in the primordial waters of chaos, you have the Leviathan and you have fish. Fish's eyes never close. So fish represent the evil eye that can do harm. So Shekinah clothed herself in a blue robe, which warded off that evil eye. And the blue dye was carefully manufactured out of a sea snail, which also relates to this whole idea of drawing the power out of the primordial waters of chaos. So this color blue has a dual nature. It is both holy and extremely evil. And one of the evil aspects of it is that it enables those who use it to ensnare and entrap others, the way that Epstein ensnared and entrapped people with his blackmail schemes of luring pedophiles into committing crimes that he would then film and use against them to draw out money and political favors and everything else and completely control these people. So in order to understand all of this symbolism and why these poor women were tattooed with blue butterflies to signify love, it also signifies warding off the evil eye, which means that Epstein put it on there, the same reason that Shekinah dressed in her blue robe, same reason that the prayer shawl has blue stripes on it and has a blue thread in the fringes at the base. Same reason Epstein's temple had four corners, like that tallit, like that prayer shawl. And the temple also had veils of blue to ward off this evil eye, but also to keep everything secret, to keep it hidden. It was meant to keep Gentiles from looking into the temple and seeing what was inside the temple, where they had hidden the golden head of an ass to represent Seth Typhon. They wanted to keep that carefully guarded, and it was a disaster for them when Antiochus IV Epiphanes actually entered the temple and found that golden head of the ass that they were worshiping. So Epstein was employing the same Kabbalistic magic to keep himself from being discovered. He employed the color blue. He draped the walls of his temple with the veil with the 7 blue stripes. He draped his women with tattoos of blue butterflies and instilled in their mind that they bore the blue butterfly of Lilith, but it's also the blue robe of Shekinah to keep his whole enterprise from being discovered. So let's look at some of the literature which demonstrates what I've been talking about. This is from a Chabad. I don't know if Chabad wrote it, but they published it on their website. The contradictory color. Blue seems to have a special holiness, yet the hue has an entirely different reputation, by Gutman Locks. And within his article, he states, all of this suggests that there must be a special holiness to this color. So it seems strange that there is an entirely different reputation to this color. One of the things that this color represents is if it appears in your dreams, it is supposed to be an especially bad omen. because it represents the Leviathan. It represents the waters of chaos, the waters of hell. The gematria of the word blue, Techelet, is the same as the gematria of the word you would hearken. It is also the gematria of and sanctify them. And you shall be ensnared. Why should the numerical value be the same for both holiness and being ensnared? And this is very similar to the fact that the word for Messiah, Mashiach, and the word for the serpent of Satan, the Leviathan, Nachash, also is the same number in Gematria, 358. And there are many other examples of this polarity where the two things are complete opposites to represent one another and to represent the balance and harmony of having the left-hand side and the right-hand side. And blue also represents that harmony. And I think it's the book of Job says that only a fool doesn't make use of evil, because someone who doesn't make use of evil makes of himself a prey. So they make use of evil and they make use of blue so that they have both the evil left-hand side and the good right-hand side of the gods working in their favor against everyone else to destroy everyone else. So they are using the magical powers of this color blue to attack the world, even on their flag and on their temple and within their temple. And Epstein employed all of this Kabbalistic voodoo to put the whammy on everyone that he was blackmailing, on the women that he was, and children that he was exploiting, and on the press and on everyone else. And he got away with what he was doing for a long time because a lot of very powerful people helped him to harm these kids and subvert our country and the West in favor of the nation of Israel, who is out to destroy the West and has been for thousands of years. So this is a very good scholarly article that I learned a lot from. I highly recommend it. You can find it on JSTOR. It is one of the articles that you can get if you set up an account on JSTOR. You don't need to be logged in from any institution. You can do it from anywhere. And it is by Gadi Sagiv, Dazzling Blue, Color Symbolism, Kabbalistic Myth, and the Evil Eye in Judaism, published in Newman, Volume 64, number 2-3 in 2017 at pages 183 to 208. Highly recommend this article. It's very good. And it covers a lot more than I'm going to be able to cover in this brief video. So he wrote a Kabbalistic myth of a blue cloth covering the feminine aspect of the Godhead, that Shekinah, became the theological foundation for various practices of using the color blue against the evil eye. Kabbalistic symbolism has important mythical aspects manifested in the personification of the divine gradations. In particular, Malkut, that's our earth. That's where Shekinah and Lilith reside, the female aspect of Satan being Shekinah, being Lilith, and the female aspect of the Godhead being Shekinah. The last gradation, the two wings of the butterfly. The last gradation is portrayed as the feminine aspect of the Godhead. As such, she is often characterized as vulnerable and as being in danger, so she needs that blue cloth to ward off the evil eye. The danger is that the evil and demonic forces, that would be the Goyim, will attempt to penetrate her since she has been separated from her male aspect. The male aspect of Satan, Samael, is trying to fornicate with her, but also the two messiahs fornicate with her in Kabbalistic lore. And what they want to do is rebuild the temple They want to rebuild the temple because the temple has the bedchamber in the Holy of Holies, where Shekinah and her male aspect were supposed to make love to each other and eventually recombine into a unified androgynous Godhead. And they want to keep the devil from, the male aspect of the devil from having sex with the female aspect of God. And they want to keep the male aspect of God from having sex with Lilith, the female aspect of Satan. So the goal is to rebuild the temple so that the Godhead can once again become one. And that one is actually four, because all four of those beings are all aspects of the same unity. At the same time as doing that, they encourage Jewish people to make love to their wives, because that will encourage Yahweh to return to Shekinah. But that can't happen until the third temple of Solomon is rebuilt and their bedchamber is restored. But as that happens, they also believe, as above, so below, that by making human beings into androgynes that have both a male and female aspect within each and every one of them, that will also restore the gods to their androgynous aspect. Human beings were created in the image of androgynous gods, so both human beings and the gods have to once again become androgynous, and that's all a part of this, and one of the reasons why the temple is so important to them. The danger is that the evil and demonic forces will attempt to penetrate her, a penetration often portrayed in sexual terms. This is one of the reasons why on Yom Kippur they give old Samael a scapegoat, because the scapegoat is supposed to confuse him and divert his interest away from Shekinah to the scapegoat, so that he's playing with the scapegoat instead of playing with Shekinah. The other reason they give him the scapegoat is so that he betrays his offspring, the Gentiles, and burdens them with all the sins that the nation of Israel has committed that year. So that's why it's called the scapegoat, because all the non-Jewish people get blamed for all the sins of the Jewish people. And in that way, they get subject to the Gevurah and Din of the fifth Sephirah, where Samael exists in the heavenly court, and they get punished and damned for all the sins that Jewish people have committed, but Jewish people obtain chesed on the other side of the Sephirotic tree of life, which gives them the mercy of the Lord. So everyone else gets scapegoated and they get released, and Shekinah gets freed from the embrace of Samael, is what this is all cryptically represents. This act is their way to penetrate the Godhead and disseminate their evil upon the world. The point of departure for the Zoharic text, introducing the myth of the blue cloth, is that according to the Bible, a techelet cloth covered the ark when it was transferred from place to place. Numbers chapter 4. The Zohar refers to this techelet cloth thus. This holy moon is beautifully white, that also represents Shekinah, with all colors sparkling within her, embroidered. She has exactly the same fine whiteness as the sun. And this is again signifying Horus and Seth and everything else that I've been describing in many of my previous videos. In that sea of hers, within 70 years, a certain fish emerges, from which is extracted techelet, that means blue. So this is the blue dye being extracted from the fish. She takes this dye, prepares it, and colors herself outwardly with this color. Not that this color is her garment, for after all, her garment is linen and purple. That's very important. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 22. But the outer covering is this color. Similarly, the dwelling, the tabernacle, all of which was beautifully embroidered within, and afterward they shall spread over it a garment of pure techelet, of pure blue. Numbers chapter 4, verse 6. Why? Because beneath this sea are depths of the sea, totally of male and female, and they have an evil eye gazing. That would be Samael and Lilith, the Leviathan. When they gaze, the color Techela, blue, confronts their eyes, and their eyes cannot prevail. Within, she is arrayed in all colors, fittingly embroidered, ranging to the four corners of the world. The four corners of the Talit, the prayer shawl, the four corners of Epstein's temple. The reason they can't look at it is because it represents the daylight, the blue sky of daylight. And so people with blue eyes are thought of as being evil, representing both these waters above in the firmament and the waters below of the abyss below. And all this mythology is deeply, deeply, deeply symbolic. There was something else I wanted to say, but I can't remember. Let's see. Maybe I'll think of it later. Okay, so the article goes on. It also seems that the Zohar tends to identify the hue of Techelet as a bluish one. I will now introduce 4 Zoharic symbols of Malkut. That's the earth that we live on. That's Shekhinah, the female aspect of the Godhead. That also have a bluish color. The tassel, that's the tassel on the prayer shawl with a blue thread. The sapphire gemstone, that's a very important one because there was a brick road made of sapphires. And both rocks and the color blue represent Malkut, the earth. Thereby acquiring, and fire, that's a huge one, and water and sea. These symbols inherit the powers of Malkut, thereby acquiring talismanic capabilities. I argue that by having a bluish color, these symbols also equip the color Techelet blue with powers attributed to Malkut, the earth, thereby imbuing this color with a magical potential. Malkut literally means the kingdom, but it's the kingdom of the earth in the world to come. Well, the association of Techelet with blue fire shaped its image as an expression of divine judgment. Esau is burned up in the fire of Jacob and becomes stubble. Techelet can also be associated with water, attenuating this fire. These are alchemical explanations of the 4 elements and how they balance one another: water, air, earth, fire. Water extinguishes fire, air gives breath and life to soul, etc. Techelet is usually identified as the color of the sea. The sea is a well-known symbol of Malkut because it is a basin that receives waters from rivers, just as Malkut receives the influx from the gradations above. The light descends from Keter, and especially from Chokhmah down to all of the other Sephirot below, and end up at Malkut, where their colors are combined into blue of the waters. Concurrently, the sea is associated with water, which is a symbol of mercy, and mercy is also discernible in Malkut. Another part of this mythology is the idea that human beings can't live in the sea and can't live in the sky, especially at the time that these mythologies were created. So water has that evil aspect as well as being a domain in which human beings can't live, as well as the sky, both of which are blue. Hence, using the sea as a symbol of Malkut, Techelet can be associated with a mild judgment in which an element of mercy mitigates the severe judgment. Water mitigates fire. Fire is a symbol for the entire system of the Sephirot, with the Techelet flame, whether blue or black, symbolizing Malkut. Techelet appears in several Zoharic teachings as a color of fire that is the destructive force of Malkut. This destructive quality is rooted in the aforementioned similarities between the word techelet and words denoting termination, both in the sense of completion and in the sense of annihilation. That's why they like to utilize blue against all of the Gentiles, because it represents annihilation of the Gentiles. It represents warding off the evil eye of the evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara of the Sitra Achra of the Kelipot, meaning the evil inclination of the other side of the shells, and they want to ward that off by draping themselves in blue. Additionally, the Zohar mentions the similarity between techelet and the Hebrew root, which denotes devouring. Isn't this nice? As such, it concludes that techelet is a devouring fire. This motif of techelet as a threatening fire, now remember, they have their national flag as a threatening fire to the world, and their prayer shawl as a threatening fire to the world, and their temple as a threatening fire to the world to consume and annihilate non-Jews, is further developed in a Zoharic text that is oft quoted by later sources. This text brings together several symbols of techelet to conclude that techelet is the holy throne, which is a night court of capital cases. And the accuser is Samael in that court. So here we have a passage from Obadiah that I've been quoting for 25 years. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. They are the blue that is going to burn up, and the house of Esau for stubble, Esau, meaning non-Jews, into ash. And they shall kindle in them and devour them. This is all related to that blue that they put on these poor young girls, that they put on their prayer shawl, their flag in their temple. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. That means every last one of the Goyim will be exterminated by this blue fire that they're hoping for, that they're bringing about now in their staged tribulation to exterminate the rest of humanity. For the Lord hath spoken it. Blue against non-Jews. This is from that same article. One of the major themes in Kabbalistic symbolism is that the last gradation, Malkut, is a mythical personification of the people of Israel. Yeah, Shekinah represents all of the people of Israel. And that her biography symbolizes their history. Malkut not only represents, and remember, Malkut is the earth, the mother goddess, Gaia, Mother Earth. Malkut not only represents, but also protects the Israelites from possible harm on the part of surrounding non-Jews. They say that she wraps her wings, those butterfly wings, around the Jewish people. She wraps her bluish robe around Jewish people, same way that Lilith is draped in the blue wings of the butterfly. And she has followed them around in the exile, draping them in this blue, which wards off the evil eye, meaning non-Jews. Accordingly, the myth of the techelet cloth of Malkut against the evil gaze of the evil forces, that means everybody who's a non-Jew, was also applied on a national level. That is, the covering of Jews, particularly by blue objects, serves as protection from what is believed to be a danger from the nations of non-Jews, as in their own flag. It's to put the whammy on us to consume us in fire. Can you imagine that? Who are sometimes considered in Kabbalistic texts as earthly manifestations of the evil forces. So they have dehumanized non-Jews as if all non-Jews are Satan. This covering resembles the metaphor of being under the wings of Shekinah, the divine presence. In the commentary of the Zohar by the Jerusalemite Kabbalist Yehuda HaKohen, he cited on several occasions Luria's interpretation of the blue cloth myth. But he went even further, imbuing it with a nationalistic character. HaKohen emphasized Luria's reference to Joseph's covering of Rachel with a cloth against the sight of Esau, a symbol of Christianity, asserting that Techelet is a shield for Israel against the evil eye of the nations, as was the case with Pharaoh and Nebuchadnezzar. And they spit when they see Christians. They want to exclude Christians from Israel. And the story of Joseph and Rachel giving birth to Benjamin, as I explained in my last video, is the story of the birth pangs of the Messiah. Benjamin Netanyahu is the Messiah, son of Joseph, who is putting the world through those birth pangs, through this tribulation, so that the Messiah, son of David, can be born. Rachel died giving birth to Benjamin, so the birth pangs are supposed to bring about massive death. And it's the massive death of that evil eye, the blue-eyed peoples, the non-Jews, have to be exterminated in the birth pangs of the Messiah. And then the world will be cleansed of them as the world was cleansed of evil in the great flood, and as the garden was cleansed by expelling Adam and Eve. This nationalistic interpretation was made via another Zoharic narrative of covering Malkut against the evil eye. According to that narrative, the biblical Joseph, who is traditionally described as immune to the evil eye, covered his mother Rachel with his arms so that Esau would not be able to look at her with his lustful evil eye. This is symbolic of Samael lusting after Shechinah and being diverted by the scapegoat. Later on, God rewarded Joseph when Rachel covered the tribes of her two sons, Joseph and Benjamin, to ward off the evil eye of Balaam. According to Kabbalistic symbolism, in the upper worlds, Joseph and Rachel are symbols of divine gradations. Rachel is a symbol of Malkut, Shekinah, Lilith actually too, whereas Esau and Balaam are symbols of the evil forces. At the earthly historical level, Joseph and Rachel represent the Israelites, whereas Esau and Balaam represent the Gentiles. So again, this is specifically about killing off all non-Jews. Specifically, Christianity. Christianity is merely a symbol, but it represents all non-Jews that have to be exterminated in order for the world to come to arrive. And the world to come, again, is as above, so below, makes you think that the earth is going to be lifted up to heaven. What it really is destroying heaven and turning it into hell. And they're doing everything to turn the earth into hell. This Starlink with Elon Musk is so similar to what Rudolf Steiner described as this network of spiders covering the earth in a web that will entrap us all, and that they bear the soul of the Ahriman soul of Satan. And this is all, again, to turn the earth into hell. They want the above to be a mirror of the below, to be hell. They don't want hell to be converted into heaven. Hence, the relationships between Joseph, Rachel, Esau, and Balaam represent and mirror both the relations in the upper world and the relations between Israel and the Gentiles. So killing off Esau and Balaam in heaven represents killing off the Gentiles on earth, as above, so below. And the way they do that is by converting the Gentiles to Christianity so that they worship Samael, their father, the devil, who gets killed, and they get killed together with their father, and they lose all the supernatural protection of their ancestral gods. And when their ancestral gods die off, they lose that supernatural protection above, and they die below. Same way they killed off their own gods by disbelieving in them, they commit suicide and kill themselves off by adopting Christianity. The color blue, whose Hebrew term is techelet, plays a prominent role in Judaism. It is required for the personal commandment of the tassel. That's the tassel on the ends of the prayer shawl, the four corners that they wear, that they drape over their heads and around themselves when they pray, and that they wear under their shirts. Needed for the communal liturgy of the tabernacle and temple, and used in the flag of the state of Israel. Again, it's all so crazy. Their flag is like putting a whammy on all of us to kill us all off. It has that satanic star of Remphan in the middle, and it represents the waters above and the waters below, the Nile to the Euphrates of Ramses II Egyptian kingdom. And if I didn't explain all this, this would go unknown to the world forever. I'm the only person in the world who's ever explained all this to people. It's incredible. And they've been getting away with this for 2,500 years. I will introduce a genealogy of religious texts that explicitly discuss the symbolism and function of the color techelet, which gradually developed into a protecting color against the evil eye. At the center of this genealogy lies a medieval Kabbalistic myth of cloaking the feminine aspect of the Godhead with techelet cloth. And good old Epstein clothed his poor young girls with the butterfly of Lilith so that he would get caught, so that he could put the whammy on people and not get caught doing it. 16th century Kabbalists enriched this myth, providing it with a magical formulation as well as a sexual interpretation. And again, remember that butterfly also represents the labia majora and labia minora. Finally, in the 19th and 20th centuries, this mythical magical construct became the basis for legitimizing and popularizing various non-Jewish practices of using the color blue against the evil eye, that's everyone who's not Jewish, to protect both individuals as well as the Jewish people at large. In contradistinction to the spiritual promise of the techelet, there are sources that introduce threatening aspects to this color, and that's also how he was putting a whammy on people, Epstein. One characteristic of techelet, which has its origins in the first centuries of the Christian era, associates the word techelet with the Hebrew roots denoting annihilation, denoting bereavement. Epstein and the Israelis are setting about to commit annihilation against everyone else in the world and to cause them to suffer. Hence, the techelet is an end and sometimes even a divine power of destruction and death. That's what Israel represents through its flag and what the temple represents. In a similar vein, according to one Talmudic source, all colors bode well in a dream except the color techelot. It's a bad omen if you dream about the color blue in their view. Separate from the destructive denotion of the root, it also denotes completion. That completion is the eradication of all non-Jews. In this vein, medieval texts associate the word techelet with tachalit, denoting purpose, as well as with kol, denoting wholeness and unification, thereby implying that techelet is the purpose, unification, and completion of all colors. It's turning the present world into the world to come. Olam hazeh into olam haba. In early medieval Kabbalah, techelet was associated with two gradations that are two extremes of the system, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, the tree of death, and then the tree of life, the two messiahs, Messiah, son of Joseph, Messiah, son of David, the male and the female, Adam and Eve, good and evil, dark and light. It's all dualistic. Two wings of the butterfly. A butterfly can't fly with just one wing. It has to all be balanced. On the one hand, it was associated with the highest realms of the Godhead as Chokhmah, wisdom. That's the male aspect of the Godhead. Binah is the female aspect. When it is described as the highest gradation. On the other hand, it was associated with Malkut, the lowest gradation. So the female is considered the lowest and is the material world of the kingdom of the world to come. And what they really want to do is destroy the Godhead and convert the heavens into hell. So as above, so below, so that the heavens become like the earth. So there you have it, folks. I want to thank Richard Willett, and I want to point out his wonderful insights about the butterfly being Lilith and his digging into what's going on with those tunnels. If they are there, I suspect they represent that flat earth model of the pillars beneath the earth and the 7 levels of hell beneath the temple. And they do have tunnels beneath where they're going to build the temple. They implanted explosives in them. If there's a major earthquake, they're going to try to bring down the Dome of the Rock in Al-Aqsa Mosque and build that Temple of Solomon. And it's going to have blue in it to ward off the evil eye, to kill off all those, the Goyim. And that's what the flag of Israel is all about. That's what the blue butterfly is all about. It's about warding off the evil eye, meaning exterminating the Goyim. So I'm hoping to have Richard Willett on so we can talk about all this and get into his conversations with Juliet Bryant, who is one of Epstein's victims. I highly recommend you get onto iconic.com and watch Richard's work on all this. This is all vitally important to understand, and it has deep, broad meanings that relate to everything that is going on today and depict their intent to exterminate all of us. I had a good response to my last video, and many people gave me generous contributions. I want to thank all of you. It's extremely helpful. And I'm going to keep trying to get better and better and put out more and more of this work and reach more and more people. And I am deeply, deeply appreciative to all of you. You've gotten my new year off to a great start, and you kicked me in the ass so that I'm going to keep going, and they're not going to shut me up. And I'm going to try to expose more and more of this. And in all seriousness, I'm extremely grateful to all of you. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.